Hey guys, today I'm going to plant some store-bought ginger. I bought this about 2 months ago, and then I left it sit in the kitchen on top of the microwave where it stays nice and warm, like 70, at least 70 degrees, because the wood stove is right in the living room there, so it stays pretty warm right here. And being in the kitchen, that's where we cook and everything, so the humidity is a little bit higher here and it's a little bit warmer. Anyways, I bought it about 2 months ago, and then it started to sprout. Here, I'll bring you in closer so you can see the sprouts. At any rate, this is just like a potato where you can cut off the parts that are sprouting and then plant them. Now it is a tropical plant, so you want to make sure that it stays warm all the time. You can't be putting this outside, especially in the wintertime. You can't put it into a greenhouse if it's going to get below, say, 55 or 60 degrees. You want to plant this warm. And people in the northern United States or whatnot are going to have a difficult time growing this unless they have a really warm grow room, and which I do have it. It's like 30 degrees outside right now, but in my grow room it's about 75. So if you have a nice warm grow room, you can go ahead and do this. Or you can put your pot on a heat mat and keep it nice and warm that way. But anyways, it is a tropical plant, so you just got to keep that in mind. It wants lots of humidity. Now when I go to plant this, I'm going to plant it in this 8-inch pot. And that may seem kind of small, but I'm just going to plant a couple of these little sprouts here, and they will turn into some nice good-sized rhizome. Now, this rhizome here is, a lot of people confuse this with the root. It is not the root. This is the rhizome, and the roots come off of this like hair-like fibers that'll come off the bottom of this, and then it'll have the plant on top. So it's actually 3 parts. It's got the root, the rhizome, and the plant coming out of the soil. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Now when you cut these off like a potato, you want to make sure that you save at least an inch or so, a little bit more. The more the better. And when I put it in this pot, what happens is they're not like tomatoes and whatnot. They're just like potatoes. When you put these in, you're going to, that's going to be their permanent home. You're not going to transplant them like tomatoes and peppers and things like that. So once it goes in here, this is where it's going to stay until I harvest it. Now you can harvest it any time along the way. 5-6 months later, they'll start to, they'll be okay size, and you can start to harvest them. They won't have their full flavor, but it'll usually take about a year for them to completely mature. Now, the longer you leave them, the more mature they get and the better tasting that they get, and you get some nice, good-sized rhizomes. But if you want to harvest them early, then go ahead. But anyways, I'm going to bring you in closer. I'm going to show you how we plant these, and it's not very difficult at all. And I'm going to set them in here, and I'm going to cover them with about a ½ inch to an inch of soil. Now it has to be nice and rich soil. It's not your typical like seed starting or the seedling type potting mix, because you want it to have lots of nutrients, because this is going to be its permanent home. You're not going to transplant it out to a richer pot. So what you can do is, if you don't have a really rich medium, actually you want to have a rich medium, but if you don't at this time, you can always fertilize them down the road as you go. But what I do is I'll just add some compost to the top of this a little bit, and just to kind of feed it a little. I don't usually like to put lots of fertilizers and stuff. But anyways, ginger is incredibly easy to grow. The things you have to watch out for, you have to make sure that it stays nice and warm, just like Florida or whatever, nice and humid, nice and warm, and it doesn't want bright sunshine. It wants kind of partial shade, partial light. So you want to keep that in mind also. All right, so I'm going to bring you in and we'll go ahead and plant this. Okay, so let me show you this here. This is where it started sprouting after about a month or so, just sitting in the kitchen. And these are what I'm going to plant. So what I'll do here is, you'll notice that it starts to kind of shoot off. So what I'll do is I'll take this and cut this off here. I've got one over here that's right up in here, and I'll go ahead and cut it down here. I've got one on this side, and I'll go ahead and cut this here. And so 3 of them in this pot is going to be incredibly large, but they will spread. If you've got a nice soft medium, they will spread a little bit. It doesn't matter if they start to touch each other. They don't mind being crowded, so by all means go ahead and do that. Now this is the only pot that I had right now that was free for indoor use. The other ones are out in the greenhouse, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Now typically, ideally, you'd probably just put 1 or 2 of these in here, but I'm going to go ahead and crowd them because I really don't care, and I'm going to harvest them early. So let me cut this up here. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not concerned about using all of this because I bought this to use, so I know a lot of people would probably just say, well, use it all up, but I actually want some ginger. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and throw these in here now. And what I'm going to do is make sure that these sprouts are up. So I'm just going to pop them in like this, just like that. Now what I will do is, instead of pushing these down in an inch, I put them like this, and then I go ahead and cover them. That way you're not really disturbing them. So I'm going to go ahead and cover these just like that. Of course, the deeper you cover them, the longer it's going to take for them to sprout, or for them to come through the soil. But anyways, be patient, give it time. Just like that. Alright. It's not rocket science. Not much to it at all. You just want to make sure that you get at least a half an inch, but I say an inch is perfect. So this is just regular old potting mix that I made up. Okay, so now I've given these a good soaking, and I'm going to put these in the back room in my grow room, and where it stays between 75 and 85 degrees, which is perfect. That's exactly what these like. Now, some people will say that before you plant these, you should soak them overnight. But everything I've read and everything I've heard says that's just not necessary. But if you want to, go ahead and knock yourself out. It isn't going to hurt anything. But you'll notice that when I had them sitting on the counter or on the microwave here in the kitchen, they sprouted. 2 months they were sitting there and it's completely dry. So, anyways, I don't think it's necessary. But I should start now. They be patient with these because they're going to take a little while. The last time I did it, it was like a couple weeks before they even came up through the surface. So just be patient. I've heard other people taking a lot longer. So just got to be patient with them. But I'll do a follow-up video when they start to grow, and then by next fall, or this fall, we will actually be having ginger in Zone 7B. All right? All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch y'all later.